I refused my aunt's outrageous request, but she manipulated my husband into leaving me. I later found out he had been having an affair with her. I, 28F, have been married to my spouse, Adam, 30M, for 3 years. We had our ups and downs, as any marriage does, but I thought we were relatively stable. That is why the entire situation has taken me entirely by surprise, and I am now wondering whether I am somehow responsible for this catastrophe. My aunt, let us call her Natalie, has always been strange, to say the least. Growing up, she was the type of person who would perform a favor for you just to hold it over your head for the rest of your life. As a child, I remember her as an overbearing presence, always talking about how much she had done for everyone and how much they owed her. It was simply her method of retaining control. She is known in the family for being manipulative, but I never expected to get caught up in her games, especially not like this. Years ago, when I was younger, about 18 or 19, I was going through a difficult financial period. My parents were not present at the time, and I had recently moved out on my own, scraping by on part-time jobs and figuring things out. It was a terrible moment, and Natalie came through for me in ways that I sincerely appreciated at the time. She lent me some money, not a lot, but enough to get me through a couple of months until I could get back on my feet. I thanked her politely and eventually paid her back in full. I assumed that was the end of it, and for years it appeared to be. She never brought it up or stated that I owed her anything, so I believed that was all in the past. Fast forward to now, and Natalie has a daughter. Let's call her Grace. Grace and I were never close growing up. She is a few years younger than me, but we have always been in separate social circles. The reality is that we've never really liked each other. She has always been the spoiled, entitled type, getting everything she wants because Natalie always puts her first. Grace commands the spotlight at family gatherings. During the holidays, Grace receives the greatest gifts, the most praise, everything. I've learned to overlook it over time because that's how Natalie operates. She adores her daughter as if she were a princess, and the rest of us are expected to be grateful simply to be in their company. So Grace's birthday is coming up. Natalie has been hinting for weeks that her daughter's birthday should be exceptional and that she wants to offer her everything. At first, I didn't think much of it because Grace's birthday isn't exactly on my radar. When Natalie suggested it, I was nice and replied something like, "Oh, that sounds great," but I wasn't really paying attention. Then, out of nowhere, Natalie phones me one evening and says she has to speak with me about something serious. I assumed it was for Grace's birthday or a family event, so I agreed to meet up with her. When we met, Natalie made the most odd and absurd request I've ever heard. She told me straight out that the only thing Grace wants for her birthday is for me to leave my husband, Adam. I was stunned. Like, what? Why? Why would she even think about that? Natalie went on to say that Grace has had a crush on Adam for years, something I had no idea about, and that she believes he is her soulmate or something. According to Natalie, Grace has been longing for him since the day they met, and now that she is about to turn 26, she believes this is her final chance to be with him. She truly believes Adam belongs with her and that I am preventing them from being happy together. At first, I assumed this was a joke. Natalie couldn't possibly expect me to leave my spouse as a birthday present for her daughter. But as she continued speaking, I understood she was dead serious. She even brought up the money she lent me years ago, claiming that I owed her and that this was the best way to repay her. According to Natalie, if I were truly grateful for her assistance when I was struggling, I would do this for her daughter. I was extremely shocked. I couldn't believe what I heard. Of course, I said no. I was not going to end my marriage over an absurd demand from my aunt. I informed Natalie that this was preposterous, that I would never abandon Adam, and that I owed her nothing. I had reimbursed her for the money, and whatever favor she believed she had done for me gave her no right to demand this. She didn't take it well. Natalie got angry and accused me of being ungrateful and self-centered. She went on and on about how Grace deserved happiness, how she had made many sacrifices for me over the years, and how I was ruining everything by refusing to see reason. I walked out of that conversation exhausted but convinced that I had done the right thing. I was not going to allow her to influence me like that. I didn't give it much thought after that, but a few days later, things started to change between me and Adam. He grew aloof and colder than normal. When I asked him what was wrong, he just brushed me off. I assumed he was upset at work or something, but then he sat me down and announced that he was leaving me. He didn't go into great detail, just expressing that things weren't going well and that he thought it was time for us to part ways. I was devastated. This came out of nowhere, and I had no idea what had happened so fast. It wasn't until a mutual buddy contacted me that I learned what had transpired. Natalie allegedly went behind my back after our talk and told Adam everything, but she twisted the tale so that it appeared I was to blame. She informed Adam that I had been ungrateful for everything she had done for me, that I had no regard for family, and that I had been keeping secrets from him. She even made up stories about how distant and cold I had been with Adam, twisting the situation to make it look that I was the problem in our marriage. According to what I've heard, she convinced him that I wasn't telling him the truth, which pushed him over the line. So now I'm attempting to pick up the pieces of my life after my spouse abandoned me due to my manipulative aunt. Part of me wonders whether there was already something wrong with our marriage, and this was the final straw. Maybe I missed some signs. Maybe I wasn't as good a wife as I thought. But another part of me is outraged. How could Natalie have done this to me? How could she go behind my back and destroy my marriage simply because I refused to give her what she wanted? And why did Adam believe her so quickly? Shouldn't he have trusted me enough to at least discuss it with me before making such a big decision? I'm so confused and hurt right now, and I don't know what to do. My family is divided on the issue, with some saying I should have simply let it go and others agreeing Natalie is out of line. But the reality is, I don't think this is just about Natalie anymore. I believe there is a greater issue at play, such as Adam searching for an out and seeing this as the perfect reason. I'm not sure whether I'm overreacting, but I can't shake the sensation that this entire thing is somehow my responsibility. Perhaps if I had handled things differently with Natalie and paid more attention to Adam's needs, none of this would have occurred. But, at the same time, I feel as if I was backed into a corner and would have lost regardless of what I did. So I die for refusing my aunt's foolish request to leave my husband as a birthday present for her daughter. Am I to blame for my husband leaving because of what she told him? I just need some feedback on this because everything seems to be spiraling out of control right now, and I'm not sure where to turn. Update 1. Hello everyone, it's been a few weeks since my life totally crumbled, and I'm still trying to figure out how to go on from what occurred with my aunt, Natalie, and my husband Adam. Things have been difficult to process. I never thought I'd be providing an update. Yet here I am, trying to make sense of it all. At first, I assumed it was all due to Natalie's intervention, but considering everything that has transpired since, I'm beginning to wonder if there was something else going on between Adam and me, something I missed. I've been trying to piece it all together, and I keep coming back to the same question. Was this previously broken, and I simply didn't realize it? When Adam told me he was leaving, he didn't give me much detail. He merely told me that things were not going well and that he thought it was time to part ways. There was no big struggle or explosion, it was just over. I was heartbroken and puzzled. I assumed we were secure, or as secure as any marriage with ups and downs. Everything felt like it happened out of nowhere. After sitting with my thoughts and feelings for a few days, I decided to contact Adam. I wasn't willing to give up without at least discussing it. I texted him, asking if we could meet up and discuss what had transpired. I didn't get an answer straight away, and I spent the following 3 days in limbo, waiting for a response. Finally, Adam responded back, indicating he was not interested in chatting and that he had made his decision. I was devastated. It was as if he had closed the door on everything without thinking. However, this was not the worst part. He also told me he was already seeing someone else. Mind you, it hadn't even been a month since he left me when I discovered how quickly he had moved on. My world came apart. Was this someone he had been seeing before our breakup? Was I so blind that I didn't notice him drifting away sooner? I didn't ask him any of these questions because, frankly, I didn't want to know the answers. It felt like everything we had was erased in the blink of an eye. It's impossible to convey the range of emotions I've been feeling: anger, betrayal, confusion. It's all coming together. How did he manage to move on so quickly? How could he be so willing to let go of what we've accomplished? I'm wondering if this new relationship started before he left, or if there were issues in our marriage that I simply overlooked. I've been looking over every discussion we've had in the last few months to see if there were any red signals I overlooked. Nothing stands out. We had our regular fights, nothing major, and I never anticipated things to fall apart so quickly. Maybe I was too preoccupied with my own life and missed the signs that he was drifting away, but I also wonder if Adam had been looking for an escape all along and Natalie's manipulation was just the excuse he needed. My family is divided on the whole issue. Some people say I should have let it go to prevent the conflict with Natalie. Others agree that Natalie was completely out of line, and that I made the perfect decision by refusing her. However, in the end, none of this matters. The damage is done. Adam is gone and I'm forced to figure out how to restart my life now that he's moved on with someone else. I haven't spoken with Natalie or Grace since everything went down. They are no longer a part of my life, and I am grateful not to be exposed to their toxic energy. The thought that Natalie could go behind my back, influence Adam, and essentially ruin my marriage still baffles me, but I've recognized that there's no sense in attempting to undo what happened. What's done is done, and I need to go on. I'm going to be honest. I believe Adam is seeing Grace. I mean, it just makes sense that Natalie wanted me to end my marriage so Grace and Adam could be together. So, perhaps that is what is happening. I don't know, but I want to find out. Regarding Adam, I wish I could say I'm over it, but I am not. I still love him, and I probably always will. But I know our marriage is over. He has moved on, and it is now my turn to do the same. It will take time for me to recover from this, and there are days when the pain is terrible. But I want to get past it someday. Update 2. Hello everyone. First and foremost, thank you so much for all of your support, guidance, and kind words on my last post. I never anticipated so many people to care about my predicament, and it has meant everything to me. Before I begin the update, I'd like to address something that many of you mentioned. Many people suspected Adam was seeing Grace, and to be honest, I was beginning to believe it as well. Natalie had pushed me so hard to leave Adam for Grace's sake, and the way things turned out convinced me that there was something between them. Why would she make such a foolish request? I couldn't believe my aunt would ask me to leave my husband as a birthday present for her daughter if Adam and Grace weren't already dating. That's when things took an unexpected and really distressing turn. About 2 weeks ago, I got a message from Stephen, my Aunt Natalie's husband and Grace's father. I hadn't spoken to him in a long time, especially after things had gone bad, but he pleaded to meet in person, claiming he had something vital to tell me. Given how crazy things had already become, I was doubtful at first. I didn't want to get engaged in any more family drama, especially after what happened to Natalie and Grace. But something about Stephen's tone made me want to hear him out, so I agreed to meet up. When we met, Stephen appeared tired, as if the weight of the world was on his shoulders. I knew straight away that whatever he had to say would not be easy. He began by apologizing for Natalie, Grace, and all that had occurred. I had no idea where he was going with this, but then he revealed something unexpected. Adam was not seeing Grace. He was seeing Natalie. Yes, it's my aunt. Natalie, my manipulative and toxic aunt, is 50 years old. I was speechless. My mind went blank as I tried to figure out what he was saying. For a brief moment, I believed I had misheard him, but Stephen went on to recount everything in horrific detail. Natalie and Adam appeared to have been having an affair for some months. Stephen discovered it when he returned home early from a business trip one weekend. He walked into their house, into his bedroom, and found Natalie and Adam in bed together. My spouse and aunt, in their bed. Stephen admitted he had no idea how long it had been going on, but based on some of the texts and messages he discovered, it had been at least a few months, if not more. Natalie had been seeing Adam behind my back as she pressed me to leave him for Grace. The whole birthday present foolishness was just a distraction, a ruse to deceive me and everyone else while she secretly had an affair with my husband. I felt as if the ground had been pulled out from beneath me. I thought I was prepared for anything, but this exceeded my expectations. I was having trouble understanding what Stephen was saying. Natalie, among other persons. I knew she was manipulative, but I didn't expect her to do this. And Adam, the man I thought I knew and had built a life with, had he been sneaking around with my aunt the entire time? But it didn't end there. Stephen went on to inform me that Natalie had decided to leave him. Natalie intended to leave Stephen on Grace's birthday, and she and Adam were apparently planning to blow everything up. Yes, you have read right. She planned to devastate her own family on her daughter's birthday before fleeing with my husband. Grace was completely oblivious of all of this, which was just another layer of deception. Natalie had used her daughter as a pawn in this horrible, twisted game, fooling everyone into believing Grace had affections for Adam while, in reality, she was sleeping with him. Stephen informed me about it, and I sat there startled. I was unsure how to react. I had been concentrating all of my efforts on determining whether Adam was seeing Grace when, in fact, Natalie, my own aunt, had misled me in the worst conceivable way. After Stephen finished telling me everything, he handed me his phone and showed me some of the messages between Natalie and Adam. I couldn't look at them for long because it was too painful, the way they talked about me, their plans, and how they were going to start over after the dust had fallen. It made me physically ill. I still can't believe it. I spent weeks trying to believe that Adam could have feelings for Grace, but now, this was beyond anything I could have anticipated. Natalie had planned the entire affair from the beginning. She misled me and her own spouse while secretly having an affair with my husband. I've been trying to figure out where I should go next, but I'm still in shock. I thought I was dealing with a husband who left me for another woman, but now I'm having to accept the fact that he left me for my aunt, whom I considered family. I'm not sure if they're still seeing each other or if their little scheme failed when Stephen caught them. Part of me doesn't care at this point. What is done, And regardless of what happens to them, the harm has already been done to me. I wish I could say there is a silver lining, but for the time being, all I can do is attempt to get through it. I'll keep you all updated if anything changes, but for the time being, I'm just figuring out how to move ahead after everything that's happened. Thank you for your continued support. It has been a lifeline during this horror. Update 3. Hello everyone, it's been a while since the last update, and a few things have happened in the interim, so perhaps this is the final update to the horror I've been experiencing. I faced Adam, and while the outcome was not what I had hoped for, it did provide some closure. I suppose I always knew I'd have to address him personally. I simply didn't expect it to be that dramatic, or for him to beg me to take him back after discovering Natalie wasn't who he thought she was. It's tough to understand how I felt leading up to that moment, but I knew I couldn't move on with my life unless I confronted Adam. I needed to express my feelings and get the complete truth from him, no more running or second guessing. So I finally reached out to him and told him we needed to meet and chat. We met in a park, somewhere neutral, where I felt I could keep my emotions under control. I did not want the confrontation to take place in our home, which had so many memories, both good and bad. I got to the park and finally saw him after so many days. It felt odd. He looked fatigued, as if he hadn't slept in days, but I didn't care enough to ask him what had occurred or why he was so tired. I just went right to it. I assured him I knew everything. I informed him that I knew about Natalie and that she was the lady he had been fooling around with while I sat at home, trusting and loving him. The shock on his expression was not the same as when someone is apprehended. It felt more like shame. He couldn't look me in the eye for a time. He did not defend himself, which shocked me because I had expected excuses or an attempt to cover up. Instead, he simply nodded and confessed it. He verified everything. In some ways, it felt underwhelming. There was no rage or screaming, just a pitiful admission that he had damaged our marriage by having an affair. I had a lot I wanted to say. I had spent hours rehearsing this in my thoughts, but when the moment arrived, all I could say was, why? I needed to know what was wrong with us, or with me, that he would cheat on me like this. Adam began discussing how he was no longer pleased and how our marriage had become a routine. He mumbled something about being stuck, and Natalie helped him feel alive again. It felt like a punch in the belly. I couldn't believe he was using boredom as an excuse to wreck our lives. I stood there feeling disgusted. I informed him immediately that his selfishness had cost him everything. There were many other methods for him to deal with his feelings of being stranded. We could have sought therapy, taken a break, and communicated, but he decided to cheat on me, lie to me, and end our marriage. And that's when I informed him. I informed him that I was filing for divorce. I shouted it clearly and without hesitation, and a strange sense of power came over me. For the first time, I felt in control. I wasn't pleading with him to stay, nor was I forgiving him for his horrible decisions. I was finished. That is when the unexpected happened. Adam, who had been so casual about the affair up until this point, suddenly broke down. I'd never seen him like this. He genuinely began crying. I'm not talking about a few tears. He sobbed. He grabbed my hands and begged me not to forward with the divorce. He explained that everything with Natalie had come apart, that she was not who he thought she was, and that he had made the biggest mistake of his life. He stated that once the excitement of their affair faded, her actual personality emerged. Apparently, she is manipulative and domineering, often starting conflicts and even threatening to reveal their affair if he did not do things her way. He claimed she had made his life a terrible nightmare, and he regretted everything. It was strange to stand there and see this man, who had before appeared unaffected, break down in front of me. He told me he felt adrift without me and couldn't believe he'd given up our life together for someone like Natalie. He stated that he still loved me and would do anything to make things right. But honestly, I didn't feel anything. I had no sympathy for him, no desire to reclaim him, and no pity for him because of Natalie's conduct. I felt numb. The trust was gone. He had damaged it, and no amount of tears or apologies would fix it. I informed him that it was too late. I informed him that there was no way to restore what he had done, and I was not interested in attempting to heal the damage to our marriage. I believe that's when he understood I was serious. I was not going to forgive him, and there was no way to make things right or get back together. He kept begging, attempting to persuade me that we could work this out, that he was willing to do whatever it needed. But I'd already made a decision. I informed him that I deserved better, that I was moving on with my life, and that we had no future together. I believe part of me was expecting him to become defensive or lash out, as he had done in the past when we battled. But this did not happen. Instead, he broke down even more, realizing he'd lost me forever. I departed after that. I walked away without looking back. I've already filed for divorce, and it feels like a great weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I'm not claiming it's been easy. I still find it difficult to breathe at times because I am so heartbroken and deceived. But I know I made the correct decision. I know this is what I need to do to improve myself and start a new life. According to what I've heard, Natalie is furious with Adam for attempting to reconnect with me. Apparently, things between them worsened not long after the truth was revealed, and they are now both unhappy. Adam is paying the price for his decisions, and while I would never wish such chaos on anyone, I am no longer concerned. I don't care what happens between them. I'm just happy to be free of it. I've cut Natalie out of my life permanently. There is no forgiveness, no opportunity for reconciliation. I have no room in my heart for folks who betray me like way. She has left, and I am now focusing on myself. This has been the most difficult experience I have ever had, but it has taught me a lot about my own strength. I've discovered that I don't need someone who disrespects, lies, or cheats on me. I deserve a partner who appreciates me and our relationship, and I will never settle for anything less again. So that's it. I'm taking each day as it comes. It will take time to heal, but I am confident that I am on the correct path. Thank you to everyone who has offered me advice and support along the process. It mattered more than you could ever realize. I'm now ready to be done with this drama and move on with my life. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.